Hey guys, we are going back to Mythic Legions 1.0 again today, taking a look at this creepy guy, Scapular the Cryptbreaker. You can see him there in the standard resealable packaging. We've got the figure in the big window, all his accessories. He does have a bio on the side, and then we've got that original backer card artwork and mythos right up on the back side. So let's pull him out and take a look. Alright guys, here he is out of the package, our Scapular the Cryptbreaker figure, an older Mythic Legions figure, but still just as cool and exciting nonetheless. I just couldn't not get this guy in front of the camera and take a look at him. So let's of course start with articulation and see how this dude moves around. So let's start at the head, and this guy is on a ball as usual. He's got the skeletal neck adapter, so it goes up into his head, but he has these wraps around his head, so it's not just a skull that you see like on a lot of skeletons. It's a full head sculpt in that way. So it can rotate, he can look up, he can look down. He does have the neck gorget thing here, so it does get in the way a little bit. You could pop that off if you want, but I don't prefer that personally. I think it looks better with it on. Arms go out. You do have the rubbery shoulder piece here that's kind of bolted onto their arms to move up into the shoulder region, so it'll move up to allow you to move him. He rotates. We've got rotation at the elbow. We've got a single jointed hinge, so about 90 degrees. We have got rotation at the gauntlets, rotation at the wrist, and then of course a hinge there. He has the tunic style body, and since he's an older figure, you know, that's just a solid chest piece. So he's got a ball peg, so he twists all the way around, bobble side to side, back and forth a little bit. Legs go out, they kick forward, they kick back. Since he's a skeleton, he doesn't have anything at the thigh because there's really no way to cut that without making it look ugly. We got rotation and a single jointed knee, and then we've got rotation, rocker, and we've got hinges down at those ankles. So it's, you know, it's par for the course as far as actual skeletons go, and pretty much standard boilerplate stuff for Mythic Legions in general. Sculpt-wise, I think Scapular is pretty interesting, just because he's a little different from some of the other skeletons. Sure, for the most part, he's exactly the same. We've got the same exposed arms, same exposed legs as far as bones go. He's got the knight-style shin guards and boots, which are nicely done. They're all, everything, it's as far as his armor goes, is done up in a slightly darker gray silver color with gold accents on the line work and then all of the rivets. We, of course, like I mentioned, have got the arm armor here, which I always love this stuff. I think it's awesome, just the idea behind it, because it's clearly something that he said, I need armor on my arms, as far as every other skeleton is concerned as well. So they just bolt the things onto their arms, because there's really no other way to explain how those are on there, which I think is pretty cool, all things considered. We've got the standard style knights type of gauntlets and hand guards there. We have got, you know, the waist guards here, so rubbery plastic along the waist to help with articulation, help him move around. But he's got the kind of tunic and tabard type of, you know, body setup going on here. So we've got the long red tabard that runs down here. So he's one of the Sons of the Red Star as far as the backstory goes. So that kind of fits with the red theme here. And all of this, the tunic and the tabard, have a nice bit of shading and just kind of grungy griminess to them. So there's a lot of darkness in terms of like kind of maroons and then black in there to bring out the line work on there, as well as on the back, just to make it look like it's, you know, scuffed up and that there's some shadow and some depth in there. So I just like the idea that he's got this particular type of chest piece. I think it's a little different and it works really well. The color scheme here is pretty basic, all things considered, just kind of a silver and gold with the red, but it works too. And you know, when it works, and I'm always up for another skeleton, so you got me there no matter what. He's a skeleton though, so we can't not talk about the head sculpt, and he is a little different in some ways from you know, some of the other skeleton guys out there, because he has a full head sculpt. It's not just a skull that sits on the kind of spine adapter that we see on the other skeletons. So we've got the wraps that run around the head, so it runs around the back of the skull. More of that shading on there as well, so it follows the design of the tunic and the tabard. He has got a full headpiece with, you know, kind of the ornamentation on the top, with more of that gold paint on the little kind of filigree inlay in there, which works really nice. It's a little small detail, but you can catch it, kind of glints in the light a little bit. And then of course we do have the exposed skull face, which is very nicely done. You've got all those jagged teeth in there with some grit and grime and dirt in there, with the sunken nose cavity, the sunken eye sockets with some blackness to bring out the sculpt, kind of bring out the void that's inside the head there. So it's just a nice head sculpt. You know, it's another skeleton. I've said it before, they're my favorite type of character, type of figures in this line. So to get this guy kind of just works really well for me on all the different levels as far as the figure goes. But I do really like the head sculpt on this one. I think he's just different enough from some of the other figures to make him slightly more fun, slightly more unique. Now, as far as accessories for Scapular go, we have got a pretty decent spread. Now, since he's an older figure, he does come with a more basic assortment in some ways, but he also has an incredibly detailed shield that we're going to talk about. So, first of all, we do have some Pauldrons that we've got on this guy. You can see I've already changed him up here a bit. So they follow the same kind of darker gray, silvery color scheme that the rest of his armor has with some gold inlay design. So it's another situation where I don't know that you necessarily need him. I think he looks pretty solid without them, but he also does look a little beefed up. This kind of rounds out his outfit a bit as well. So you've got options, as is pretty much always the case with these figures. We have got the strap so you can, hang his dagger on his waist. So this is just a kind of pewter looking dagger here. We've seen this a million times at this point. Standard dagger for the line. We have got one of these standard spears for the line. So this guy is kind of the gunmetal pewter color all the way through. This is that same sculpt we've seen time and time again. So we got that guy. But the big one here is his shield. This thing is probably one of the more ornately painted accessories in the entire line, not necessarily just the original stuff. So it's done up in a kind of dark gunmetal kind of color. It's not the exact same color as the other accessories. We've got the red stripes on one half, and then we've got this really dirtied up white side with a lot of brown dry brushing, and then the 4 stars on there, the 4 red stars. And since it's an older shield, it does have a clip instead of a newer style handle, which I kind of like. But this is fantastic. It's really nicely done. Tons of paint detail on this. And again, it's just one of the more ornate accessories, especially for a figure that is of this particular age. So at the end of the day, this is a pretty fun figure. It's a skeleton. He's got some pretty sweet armor. He comes with a fantastic shield. He's got an amazing head sculpt. He's got all the sculpt and paint and articulation that we would expect to find in, well, every other figure in this entire line. He just looks cool. What more could you really ask for? Outside of the fact that this guy is relatively uncommon on the aftermarket these days, and he fetches a pretty decent price now, he is one that I would recommend anybody who wants to get into some of the older figures to check out. He's probably one of the more affordable skeletons too, even though he is still a little on the expensive side. There are some that are even harder to find than this one. But he's a cool figure for sure, one that works really well in any Mythic Legions collection. So that's going to do it for this look at the Mythic Legions Scapular the Cryptbreaker from the 4 Horsemen. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.